I found myself saying it a few times today. I was like, oh, the horror, the horror. We got Brittney Buffo joining us to bring us up to speed on a big project that they've had going on. And it's coming to fruition as the first public screening of War of the Limelight comes up on tax day, April 15th at the Golden Bough Playhouse in Carmel. Brittney, welcome back.
Thank you for having us today. Thank you.
And last time you were here, I said bring some students.
I know, and I did, and a lot of them are actually in school plays right now, and they're very busy rehearsing. So I was able to wrangle one student who is actually at MPC now. His name is Miguel Garcia.
Miguel, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, you want to tell us a little bit about your part in this big project?
Yeah, I was there as a first AC, so assistant cameraman, and I did that all summer long with the Buffos and Hara.
Well, tell us a little bit about that. For people that don't know what that means, what was your day like when you were working on this?
Well, it was a rather small group, so I kind of did a little bit of everything. So if anybody needed me to like pick up some lights and just move equipment, I would be that guy, which I had no problem with. I wanted to lose weight.
So it's hard work, you're saying?
It was hard work, but it was worth it, especially when I could finally just sit back and watch everyone film and just see I helped that.
That's so you felt like you had a piece of the pie in all this.
Yeah, it was like a mom, or like a grandma sitting in a family dinner and just seeing all their children I made this happen.
Sense of pride, sense of joy.
Yes, sense of pride.
Well, I imagine that both of you guys are pretty proud with the first screening coming up the 15th.
Yes, April 15th. And it'll be the first cut of the film for the audience to see, and it's going to have a little special surprise. There's going to be a little bit of interaction with the audience. So not to be too surprised, but it'll be interactive.
Any hints more so on that?
Prepare to participate.
Well, you're going to watch a film, and then at the end, there's going to be a little bit of at the end, this main character is going to face criminal charges for actually bringing a refugee into the country. And so she is going to have to face that. And so she's going to talk to the audience at the end there in live in that moment. And so I actually have to play that character. So I'm a little nervous, but that'll actually be part of it, and it'll be filmed. So the audience, we won't be filming their faces, but they will be part of that moment of the film that will end up being in the final cut of the film.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
And so how many total students did you have involved in the project?
We had 24 students all throughout Monterey County. Miguel is graduated from Millennium Charter High School in Salinas. We had lots of students from Everett Alvarez High School, so Pacific Grove High School, Carmel High School, and Monterey High School.
And as we've learned, they had different. They were just acting in it. They had behind the scenes roles as well.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Well, let's refresh people that didn't hear the first time you were on about the storyline of this.
So it's actually a love story at the core of it. It's a love story across cultures. So it's about these young people who are rival.
It's Romeo and Juliet set today.
It is. It's set today. It kind of is. And there is the kind of mix up in it where there's an innocent student that gets kind of caught in the middle of this rivalry that they're having, and it turns out that she is from Syria. And they all find out at the end, oh my goodness, this girl actually is coming from a war-torn country, and we are being, petty, high school students fighting over silly things, and these people are really struggling for some sorts of belonging. And I think the whole film is about belonging, about where is there a sense of belonging for all of us.
And how that apparently isn't so as much relative as it is universal.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. We wanted to make it relevant, and we met a community leader, Gabriella Forte, who told us about her trip to Greece and that she was volunteering at the refugee camps there. And so when she came into the classroom and she talked to the students, they were just blown away. They didn't even know that this is what's happening in the world right now. And so they really wanted to make our film relevant, and so they decided to make one of the main characters from Syria, and we had to tie it all in together. And it's new, it's different, it's something that I think maybe people aren't prepared for, but if you're not taking risks, then you're not making art, right? So
that's the truth.
And so, you and Mike wrote the script, correct?
That's right.
And so, for the students acting in the film, were they allowed some sort of leeway, kind of ad lib, or were you one of those directors who said,
Oh, no.
no, you will read the lines as written?
No, actually, a lot of it was developed with the students. So
Okay.
the writing, we would do classroom improvisation, and they would come up with the dialogue, and I would write it down, and then we would fine tune it together. And then on the set, if it didn't quite sound right or wasn't natural, then we would change it. So it was very much, it had to be relevant. It had to be sounding like it came from them, not from a writer.
Yeah.
It was
An adult writing for a teen.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
totally theirs. It's their movie just as much as it is. I wrote it with Mike, but because we actually physically did that work, but it's actually much more theirs than it is ours.
Well, did you feel like tackling really two subjects here that are so relevant, not just in the headlines, but particularly with the bullying with youth, Syria as this I don't even know how to categorize how we're handling that as a country right now.
Yeah.
But did you feel like, since it was these timely things, that it gave them, and maybe you're better to answer this, Miguel, something that you could cling to a little bit more, and it was a little bit more tangible?
What was the question?
Do you think that with this being about bullying in particular, did you feel like that could allow you guys to engage a little bit more, something that's timely, something that you could actually have an effect on?
Yeah, I definitely feel that there are some parallels that to be drawn from the Syrian refugees and the students that were part of the film, because we're kids, and it's kind of hard to like that. It's kind of disconnected when you see it or read it online. You don't realize that these are kids. They're like you, just not with the privilege, I guess.
Yeah, privilege amongst other things.
Yeah.
I think this is great how, we're inundated with headlines and things that are, for the most part, troubling. We rarely have headlines of good news.
Fake news.
Yeah, and we got that. Plenty of that. If we have these things that on the scope are in very different places, but can converge, and you can tell a story about it and really make a connection, I think that's the most interesting part. And the fact that you actually have folks like Miguel who, I didn't deal with cyberbullying when I was in high school. Like the internet, you had to hear.
For some of us, it didn't actually exist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the internet existed when I
Those who went to high school pre-AOL.
Yeah. It was a pretty new thing when I was in high school. It certainly wasn't a part of like a social deal or even really school. Like if you did the internet, you went to the library and did that. So for me, it's not as applicable, but bullying has been around forever. It's just a new medium to do it. And to me, it's more of a cowardly way to do it. It's sometimes anonymous. I love that you're
I did my bullying in person.
Yeah, and if they're bigger than you, they punched you in the face. There's a little bit more accountability there.
I wasn't a bully.
I would hope not.
Well, so the thing is that whether it's bullying or an issue like Syria, you really don't understand the scope of it unless you have experienced it. And I think that this kind of activity or these kinds of programs that allow students to get intimately involved with creating a story like this. You as an actor, I suppose people start actually feeling it because they're living that character for a while. And what better way to fully understand worlds other than your own than acting and being part of a film like this?
I would say that's perfectly put.
Yeah. Score one for Meredith.
Yeah, and that's why I think a lot of people gravitate to acting, because it's like, oh, I can be outside of my own experience and kind of put myself in someone else's shoes, and that's how we learn empathy.
Mm-hmm.
That's what empathy is being able to understand someone else from their perspective. And I think it's probably one of the most important things that I think young people can learn right now, or I think it's important anyway. I that's how I ended up becoming who I am now, is to really understand people from their point of view. So
I think that's a great way of putting it. And empathy is the ultimate goal here. Is you're doing two cool things here. You're teaching film
Right.
and how to approach it in every aspect,
Right.
Screenwriting to acting to moving whatever needs to be moved.
Right.
As it goes.
He was the first AC, first assistant camera.
There you go.
Racking focus and how tell a little about it. What did you do?
Before I start, there's like a spider on your leg. I'm not kidding.
Those of you listening might not see
Oh,
that on
that's so-
Facebook Live.
That's so
Yeah.
nice of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of
Let her
just
know.
eyeballing that. Yeah, like I said, a typical day for me was just doing what I was told to do, and that wasn't a bad thing. Like I wanted the experience. I wanted as much experience as I wanted because I want to go into filmmaking. As
Yeah, so that was going to be my question.
Yeah.
So, did you have any experience before this? Was this your first experience, and is this what you want to do?
My experience before this, well, when I went to high school at Millennium, Mr. and Mrs. Buffo were actually my teachers,
Okay.
and they helped kind of carve out the path where I want to take this film. And over the summer, they knew that I wanted to be a director, and they asked me to be in this, and I said yes. And this is the most experience I've gotten since high school, and I hope to continue it. And yeah, I do want to be a director when I
Yeah.
go.
So again, so a first AC, where does that person fall kind of in the scope of things? Like, I have no idea what happens behind
Oh, well,
movie making.
so you have the cameraman, of course. He's operating the camera. He's the eyes in the lens.
Okay.
And as a first AC, I'm off to the side. For example, it's kind of hard to like focus because you have to manually focus it for like with the lens, and that was my job. Or for example, if it was a scene where he was walking backwards, I had to pull on his shirt to make sure he doesn't fall. So making sure like there's nothing that prevents like any outside forces to prevent like this scene.
Getting the good shot.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I encourage you. The first screening is going to be April 15th. It's from 6 to 10 p.m. at Golden Bough Playhouse. Tickets are $20 for adults, but only $5 for students 12 through 18. So really affordable. And like I said, you're teaching people how to make film, but you're also bringing to light two things that are very much topical and very much need to be addressed. And we need to get empathy on these things. I encourage people to go check this out. If people want to get tickets, what's the best way to do it?
They can go to our link that's very easy to remember. HARA is HARA, HARA.eventbrite.com. HARA, and it stands for Heart Aligned Response Actors. So Heart Aligned Response. So it's all about, diving deep and
Yeah, and I
being
love it.
present with people. Yeah.
I think it really is great. It's called War of the Limelights. This is something that's completely original. This is something you guys wrote. You allowed input from all the students that were taking part in it. There's something just really organic and genuine about this, and I love that you're tackling things that you guys it tugged at your heartstrings.
Absolutely.
And so let's talk about it, and let's use art to make it easier to talk about. And I think that's something that art does better than anything else in the world. So thank you for what you're doing on multiple levels. I encourage people to go check this out. Again, tickets are $20 for adults, $5 for students. It is Saturday, April 15th, 6 to 10 p.m. at the Golden Bough Playhouse in Carmel. And it's a fundraiser for the Horror Motion Picture Conservatory, yes, which is a nonprofit, and horrormotionpictures.com is the website for you to go to. Brittney, thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much.
Miguel, thanks for joining us, man.
Thank you.
And good luck on that endeavor of being a director, man.
You too.
We're pulling for you. Well, I'm not going for director. I've given up all hopes on
Just
that.
remember
I
being
know.
on this show and you're like,
Yeah, when you're hanging out with Quentin Tarantino in a couple years, remember to come back to us.
We will.
All right.
thanks.
Well, you just never know who you're going to meet when you come down to Pub Talk here at Peter B's every Wednesday. We talked water conservation, pipeline construction, cyberbullying, Syrian refugees, filmmaking. You really don't know. There's a lot of folks in this neighborhood of ours that are doing some really good things. So I encourage you to come down every Wednesday and meet them for yourselves. It really is a great opportunity. And you gotta love days like today where it's just really pretty and you can enjoy the fresh air.
Yeah, it's starting to cloud over a little bit, but it's